Hello, everybody. It's Rose and Marla, and we are here to tell you some more tips and resources and sources of power for you about women in business. Is our general topic, and today we're going to talk a little bit about communication. Marla, you want to start?
Sure. From my perspective, there are two main types of communication other than email and things like that. So as far as building my business and staying connected, it's really for me about networking and about social media. And networking for me, I'm super shy. Some people just really thrive in going to the networking meetings and association meetings and figuring out how they connect with people. For me, that's a challenge. So if you're like me, you really do have to force yourself. It is not equivalent to sit in your office and talk with people. It's just not. And what I found is go where either your clients are, or the clients you want are, or go to the kinds of information you need to provide to them so that you become the expert in offering something that they need.
That's really good. Can you give an example of the where you would go?
Sure. So for me, one of the things is I specialize in natural foods. So I may go to a presentation on consumer trends that's given by an expert that's in town. And I'm taking copious notes and I'm talking with the folks that are there to see how they're using it. And then what I'm doing is summarizing it and sharing it with all the people that I either have business from or want to get business from.
Great. And probably the people attending those workshops with you are also potential clients too, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Good.
And my other
yeah.
point was about social, and I'm certainly not a social media expert, but I think you've really done a lot more in that area. But just like you can blog and be an expert, you can repost and have expertise. You can post just so people are always seeing your name and you're staying top of mind. You can have a YouTube channel, those kinds of things. But one thing that I've chosen to do is be very single-minded. So for me, my Facebook is personal. I don't connect it to anything business related, and my Instagram's the same way. But my LinkedIn, for example, and my Twitter are completely professional, and they're single-minded. For me, it's about customers. So everything I post is I try and use the word customer or consumer in and bring people to that expertise that I want to hold.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I like what you said about single focused. Like so many people, they go to market or represent themselves, and they represent themselves in too many ways. And people are like, well, what do they actually do? What are they actually an expert in? So I really like the way you say that. It's good. Do you have any other tips on communication?
That's it for me.
Okay. One thing that I discovered early on, I'm a business consultant, and most consultants in the business world, let's just say it's a higher percentage of men than women in that industry, and there's a lot of the really popular business consultants are the ones who have a sort of a stick, like I'm the turnaround king, or I am the answer to your dreams, or make you $1 million in the first year, or something like that. And that sort of promotion and self-promotion is a very masculine expression. And but they're my competition. And there are many, many, many businesses that women find themselves in that, where they're legislators, so they're trying to get bills passed, or they're competing with financial advisors, that type of thing. And you have to be able to find your own expression and compete inside of that industry. So I don't promote myself as the turnaround king or anything like that. For me, my tagline is that we make life better, and that is a softer, more natural expression for me. And it still also demonstrates that we produce results. I mean, we produce the result called your life will be better. So you have to do the work to see, don't try and be someone you're not. Your expressions and how you represent yourself and how you brand yourself has to actually be authentic and real. Otherwise, your potential customers and clients will know you're faking it, and you will not get very many. So that's one thing. Then the next thing that I want to say about communication is there's different styles of communication, and I'm going to generalize broadly. So please excuse me if it doesn't apply to you, but women tend to be able to communicate in many different categories. We can talk about how are you doing, how's the baby, how's your husband, when are you going on vacation, and did you hear about that new merger, and what % profit increase have you had, and are you hiring that new staff, and how's your branding. So we could have in one conversation with the same person a conversation about all of those different points. And men tend not to communicate that way. They're generally more singular focused. They tend to drive results faster that way in being singular focused, whereas women tend to include everything. And we touch on more than a masculine conversation would. So one of the things to be responsible for in both directions, one is you are, as a woman, you are present to and noticing all of these other things that are happening. The person you're in a meeting with, that they're dealing with something with their family, and you have your attention also on how are they doing and how are their kids, right? Well, you're talking about the merger or whatever it is you're talking about. So that's one side. But the other side is that I've found that in working with other men in business, if I give a single focused topic and that's what we stick on, they tend to produce more than they would if I bring up all bunch of different topics. So it's not so much a masculine feminine thing, but as in terms of looking at how we're both organized, as a general speaking, obviously, but how we're both organized, and then doing what works. So to summarize that up neatly, I would say make sure that you are cognizant of that men and women and people in general all communicate differently. And if you want to produce a result with people, you'll need to we could say find a translator so that you are communicating in a manner that they can actually hear, understand, and respond to. Those are my tips for the day.
That's really great. I like to think that I'm really good at reading people, but I hadn't brought it to the singular versus multiple communication topics within one conversation. I really love that. I think that's going to be valuable.
Yeah, I have found it immensely valuable. I did a whole bunch of reading and studying on the differences between men and women in relationships and in work and in all these different situations. And one of the things that is dramatically different is that men get power when they can produce and provide. And so by that nature, if they have one thing that they can go make happen, they're very, very happy. And if we switch it, all these different things, they're not sure what we need and what there is to produce. So just see. And then also, being present too. Obviously, there's women that operate more that way, and there's men that operate more, feminine and adjusting to what makes people thrive the most. So it's made a difference for me.
I'm going to apply it in a client presentation that I have coming up. I can see where I would tend to, even in presenting results from a project, go a little bit more over, but I can picture myself in the room, and most of the folks are male executives. I can really picture them getting more out of it in the approach you're talking about. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, I guess that's it for our women in business tips for this time, and stay tuned for our next topic. And obviously, if you want us to cover a particular topic, you can always send a message through YouTube. Goodbye.